What's going on, guys? Coach Aaron here, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how to do an RDL. And for those of you who don't know what an RDL is, it's also called a Romanian deadlift. And what exactly is a Romanian deadlift? Well, a Romanian deadlift is a variation of a deadlift. And for those of you who don't know what a deadlift is, I actually made a video on what a deadlift is and how to deadlift. So if you are clueless on how to deadlift, go check that out first. So getting right to it, what is a Romanian deadlift? Well, a Romanian deadlift is a hip hinge movement, and it's similar just like the deadlift. And it works muscles just like the glutes, the hamstrings, as well as the lower back, and it works the back muscles such as the lats, rhomboids, and traps. Now, a majority of this movement is going to come from your glutes and hamstrings. The back muscles are mostly stabilizing the spine so that way your spine is nice and tight. So you're probably thinking, okay, Aaron, that's great. We know the muscles and what it works. How do we actually execute this movement? Well, I'm going to be breaking it down into a couple of steps. So first and foremost, let's start with our grip. So typically, if I'm coaching this, I'll tell people grip the bar shoulder width apart. If you want to go wider when you're more experienced, that's fine. It's totally up to you, but shoulder width apart works well. Okay, for step number one, what I want you to do is have your feet shoulder width apart, and then next what you're going to do is bend your knees just a bit. Now, the reason why I say have a little knee bend is because of the fact that if our knees are locked up and they're nice and straight, this is going to look like a stiff leg deadlift, and we're not trying to do a stiff leg deadlift here. We're trying to do a Romanian deadlift. Now, for the second step, what you're going to do is retract your shoulders, keeping your shoulders nice and tight. The reason why we keep our shoulders nice and tight is because of the fact that we want to engage our lats. And if you didn't know, the lats are trying to stabilize the spine. So if we're trying to do this movement, we want to stabilize the spine as much as possible. Also, pro tip, make sure that you brace your core before actually beginning the movement. This is going to make sure that our spine is nice and stable when beginning the movement. Now, for step number 3, this is going to be an important step. The reason why I say it's an important step is because everyone messes this part up. Now, in order to do this step, you have to think of two things, and you have to do them at the same time. The first thing is pushing your hips all the way back. The second thing is sliding the bar down your thighs all the way past your knees. What this is going to do is if you do them at the same time, you're going to get the correct position of the lowering phase of the movement. Now, you may not get this the first time. It's okay. All you have to keep doing is practicing and practicing. So what I have done, a quick, simple tool, is basically find a rack or a pole in your gym. Line your feet up with your back against the rack, and what you're going to do is take one step forward right in front of your foot. Now you're going to line up shoulder width apart, and what you're going to do is push your butt back all the way until your butt touches the rack. As well, try to imagine you have a bar in your hand and you're sliding that bar down your thighs. If you are struggling with the RDL and you're struggling with that lowering phase, try this technique for a couple of times. This will help ensure that you get the movement right. In essence, what you're trying to do here is create a proper hip hinge pattern. Also, pro tip, make sure that your knees are not caving in while doing the movement. What you want to do is push your knees out as hard as you can, making sure that you're externally rotating your hips. So once you got the hang of the lowering phase, we can move on to step number 4, which is the lifting phase. Now, when doing the lifting phase, you want to focus on two things. Number 1 is going to be squeezing our glutes forward, and number 2 is pushing our feet into the ground. What this is going to do is make sure that we're using our hip muscles instead of our back muscles. What you don't want to do is lift with your back. Again, this is a hip movement. We're using our glutes and hamstrings to lift the weight up.
It's all hips.
So now that we know the steps, let's put this all together. So once we got our grip, we're going to start the movement. First, start off with soft knees. Second, we're going to retract the shoulders. Number 3, begin the lowering phase, pushing our glutes back, sliding the bar down, and then when we're ready to lift, push our glutes forward, push our feet into the ground. Now, a question that you might ask yourself is, well, how far should I go down when doing the RDL? And in my opinion, you should go as far as possible. However, If you experience that your shoulders are starting to round the further you go down, this should be an indication that you should stop the movement. So, pro tip, if you experience rounding at a certain point, just cut your depth by 2 inches. That way you keep your shoulders nice and retracted and your spine is nice and stable while doing a Romanian deadlift. So that's it for the video, how to RDL. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you actually like the video, give it a thumbs up. And for more tips and tricks, subscribe to the channel. That's it for me, guys. Catch you guys next time.